Man, I tell you, the devil cannot stop me. When God is behind you, the devil can't stop you. Man, I'm telling you, I was stoked. I tried it again. We're live on YouTube, man. God is good, dude. God is good. All right. I have some major announcements today. I'm going to announce the investigation I'm doing. I'm going to announce what I just investigated today, and I'm going to show. Uh, uh, we'll do like the trailer and maybe a little clip from the actual documentary itself that I've been working on to give people a taste test of what's going on. So, man, I just thank you, Jesus. I have to take a moment, Lord. So thankful, Jesus. So thankful, Lord, that you look out for me, that you keep me safe when everything is just sketchy around me, Lord, when the enemy's trying to shut me down. God, you step in every single time. And you say, not my child, not my child. Just like a daddy, protects his kid. God protects me. You mess with me, you mess with God. All right. God sends the soldiers in one by one. I'm telling you, I'm a soldier of God, and he ain't gonna stop me. So, where do we start? I'm gonna start here, and I know that I'm putting myself at major risk when I do this, when I'm opening the public up to what investigation I'm actually doing. But there's a reason that I'm doing this today, because I'm very angry. All right. I'm very angry. People love to say, oh, Josh, you seem real upset today. Well, you hadn't seen upset yet. All right. I'm going to tell you right now. All right. As I've been investigating this, I've been finding people who have been, affected by the actions of adults, children that have been affected by the actions of adults. And then to hear them tell me that they're in communication with other victims who have been, victims of these people who are pedophiles, right? Say that they turned these guys in, and that the police are not going to pursue charges, all right, because too much time has passed or what. And the reason I'm doing what I'm doing now, because, man, I wouldn't be doing this for the kids, and I wouldn't be doing this for victims and people who have been past victims if I didn't offer a platform for people to be able to speak on and speak up and stand up, and you have a chance to be in a documentary, have have evidence and proof, and can talk to me and verify and all that stuff, that you've been there, you've dealt with it. I have a couple of people I've already talked to. All right. There's already been an interview done for this investigation. All right. And I think what we'll do is I'll just kick it off by showing you the full length trailer. This is the intro to the documentary. I'm only going to show the trailer and the first segment of the documentary, because it gets quite intense after that. And so I'm going to keep it YouTube friendly at first, but they don't like me on lives for some reason. So I'm going to show you my documentary up to a point. After the intro, I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to announce what I'm investigating. I'm sure as you watch this trailer, you're going to know what I'm investigating, but we're going to get into it further. Then I'm going to reveal what I just did last night. And boy, let me tell you, what I found last night is extremely, extremely disturbing. It's not been talked about. It's not been discussed. And I've stumbled upon something, and it is, I don't even know how to tell you. All I can do is just start here, and then we'll go from there. All right. So with no further ado, here is the, intro. This is the first 3 minutes of my documentary. Check it out. All right, what do you think so far? Let me get some feedback here. All right. So I am announcing that I am investigating Interlochen School for the Arts. Okay. This has been a known problem area. Okay. I no longer have to, go on site. And where I went last night is I stayed at the Jeffrey Epstein cabin at Interlochen School for the Arts. And I'll tell you what I found inside that cabin really bothered me. And as I move forward, I want to extend an invitation to all victims that have been, if there's been anything that's happened to you and you've ever gone to the Interlochen School of Arts, or you know anybody that's gone to the Interlochen School of Arts and you feel your voice isn't being heard, you have a shot, you have a chance to be in my documentary, all right? But you have to back it up with receipts that you've been there, and all that stuff. All right, but I want to give everybody an extended opportunity for people to be able to speak up and stand up and be heard. Because what's happening is as I get to know some of the campers from the camp, and as some have come forward, and there's some people that are hiding behind the scenes that are a little scared to come forward. Their voices are not being heard, and they're being told by law enforcement that they're not going to do anything about it. Well, guess what? I'm going to stand up for you, even if it means my own life. All right. Even if someone comes at me before the end of this thing. All right. I want to be able to help people who have been victims and who are victims. So if you're a family and you have a child that's gone there, all right, if you are a person that has gone to the Interlochen School of Arts and you've been abused, I don't care if it's from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. You come forward and you can email me at endtimestalk777@gmail.com. That's endtimestalk777@gmail.com. Now, that being said, let's keep moving forward with this video here. Hold on one second, and I'll let you see another piece of the documentary. This is the last piece that I'm going to show you. There is more done, okay, but I'm not going to show you yet because I have to keep what I am investigating, safe. Okay, I can tell you right now that more than likely, if you are an investigator as well, you're not onto what I'm onto. All right, I'm telling you, I'm blazing trail here. God's leading me through this, and He's really helping me to understand some things about Interlochen School of Arts that most people can never even begin to understand. And I'm connecting dots that I never thought that I'd even connect. And last night, I'm sitting in Jeffrey Epstein's cabin, and I found a book, and it was full of evidence. All right, not to mention there is I'm not going to say where yet, but there is a secret room that locks only from the outside in that cabin. Okay. And I've been able to get my camera into that room, and it's weird, man. It's real weird. And nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever talks about it. So with no further ado, here is the next segment of my documentary known as Interlocked: Epstein and the Camp of Evil. Let us unravel the symphony of problems in Interlochen, Michigan. Not just notes on a page, but a score etched with ambition, artistry, and shadows that linger like unresolved chords. Born in 1928, amid the gathering gloom of the Great Depression, this haven emerged with the wild heart of Northwest Michigan. Educator and conductor Joseph E. Maddie, captivated by music's transformative spell, allied with Thaddeus Giddings to claim 120 acres cradled between the mirror, still green lake and the untamed Duck Lake waters that have long whispered of ancient powers in local lore, amplifying echoes across the ether. What started as the National Music Camp blossomed into the Interlochen Center for the Arts, a secluded forge for young prodigies, drawing dreamers to its forested embrace and promising immersion in creation's deepest currents. Maddie himself conducted this founding overture as president until his passing in 1966, laying bricks and batons in an era of unbridled growth. Yet, as alumni voices rise today, those early years carry faint echoes of unease, whispers of boundaries blurred in the name of mentorship, setting a subtle tone that would resonate through decades. Then came Karl Haas, from 1967 to 1971, steering the camp's expansion with a steady hand, though it was in that very first summer of his tenure in 1967 that a teenage Jeffrey Epstein slipped into the ranks as a student at the Interlochen School of Arts in Michigan. His presence a quiet prelude to the predator's path that would circle back with venomous precision. Recent reports now surface of alleged sexual misconduct by faculty in the late 1960s, incidents that, in hindsight, hint at vulnerabilities woven into the institution's fabric from the start, prompting fresh investigations into that restless epoch. Is it possible that Jeffrey Epstein learned how to do his bidding at the Interlochen School of Arts by one of the former faculty members that could have abused him himself? We don't know, but it is possible. Roger Jacoby ascended as third president from 1971 to 1989, 18 years of bold development that swelled enrollment and etched Interlochen's name in gold. But beneath the applause, alumni recount patterns of inappropriate staff conduct in the 1970s, claims that by 2025, fuel an external probe into historical abuses, revealing how power imbalances and isolated havens like this can fester unchecked. And it's not just historical abuses, accounts that have come forward from victims that have been dealing with things at the Interlochen School of Arts. Alright, there's even recent accounts that I'll bring to you later on in this documentary. Dean Bull took the baton in 1989, serving until 1995. A bridge from tradition to tumult. It was under his tenure that the now grown Epstein re-emerged around 1990 as a donor, his gifts culminating in 1994 with the secluded scholarship lodge on campus that he purchased, where he was granted stays and unfettered visits. That same year, multiple young students allegedly fell into his grooming web, a dark interlude that exposed the perils of donor access amid the lake's deceptive calm. No overt scandals broke then, but the arrangement raises questions. Why invite such shadows so close to the flame, especially from one who'd once walked these very paths? The corruption's cadence didn't falter. It prolonged. Epstein's donations flowed on, unchecked through Richard Odell's brief reign from 1995 to 1998, a steady steward amid mounting institutional pressures. Then Edward J. Downing held forth from 1998 to 2003, 9 years after the lodge's rise, as Epstein's funds continued to pour in, sustaining ties even as whispers of his exploits grew louder in elite circles. This wasn't fleeting folly, it was a deliberate duet, spanning Bull, Odell, and Downing, where philanthropy masked proximity to predation. By 2003, only as Epstein's Florida plea loomed in 2005 did the melody sour, the donations ceasing under Jeffrey S. Kimpton's arrival in 2004. A 14-year era of innovation that prioritized artistic heights, yet sidestepped the deepening reckonings echoing through peer institutions. What does this timeline confess, friends? Not mere oversight, but a greater corruption embedded in Interlochen's bones. A system where boards bowed to benefactors, silence bought with scholarships, and the vulnerable became unwitting notes in a larger, more sinister composition. These weren't isolated errors across presidencies, they were enablers, allowing influence to linger like fog over the lakes, binding the institution to networks that preyed on its promise. Networks seeded, perhaps in that fateful summer of '67. Today, under the 8th President Trey Davies since 2017, Interlochen confronts these ghosts through inquiries and renamings. It's interesting how they've renamed everything. They renamed all the streets. They've renamed all the buildings. All right, there's a new logo that they have done. They've tried to mask over their image. The lodge scrubbed clean from its name in 2019. All right, but the questions persist. How deep did the rot reach? What harmonies were composed in those hidden cabins, echoing from student days to donor shadows? As we stand on these shores, let us vow not to avert our ears. Interlochen's legacy, laced with melody and mystery, now demands a reckoning. A finale where accountability drowns out the discord. And that is what I'm going to show you for today. So, I think you get what I've been doing, and that I've not been pumping you full of hot air the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actively working on this, and I'm way ahead of this. Like, I'm light years ahead of what you just saw when it comes to investigating this. I'm actually extremely educated. I've done so much research. I've spent the last 2 months investigating this. Sleepless hours at night, pouring tears. I'm honestly, like I said, I've been a victim of abuse myself, and so it can be painful to go through these things, and but it's got to be done. It's got to be exposed. The devil has to be exposed, and the networks that the devil operates in have to be exposed. And what kind of person would I be to deny a victim to be able to come forward and to speak out and have a platform to be able to speak on? And so, again, I'm extending to people who have been victims, or people who have witnessed victimization at the Interlochen School of Arts, to step forward now. Be brave, be strong. We can do this and stand united together. It's one thing that I will say, is that I'm not doing this because I need these people in the documentary. I'm doing this because I felt so bad because of one of the stories I just heard, where someone was denied, uh, you know, one of their abusers is still alive. Very well I guarantee you they're still abusing, and doing the same thing they've always done. And this person got turned down by law enforcement to pursue anything. And that's evil, man. That's so evil, And so, I'm not scared to die, but I'm also not suicidal. Okay. And so that way, if anything happens to me, you know what happened. And there are people that are going to have, copies of my research and things like that. I have a dead man switch in place, and the enemy can't touch me. And so I felt, confirmation. I took a nap after I got home from Jeffrey Epstein's cabin, staying the night there, which was an absolute horrible night's sleep. I mean, I felt like as if I was going to wake up and see like this shadow figure in front of me, like as soon as I opened my eyes. I found things in that building that you would not even begin to understand, and it costs a good ton of money to even stay there for a few hours. It's insane. Like, it's disgusting. It's disgusting that the building even is still there. It's disgusting they keep renaming it. They renamed it 3 times now, trying to disguise it. And there's a lot I could say, but I don't want to give away what I'm doing. I have to protect the rest of the investigation. But what I've given you, I feel comfortable in sharing today. And I think it's important for people to have a platform to be able to speak up. Because you know what? If the law enforcement ain't going to hear you, God's people are going to hear you, and God's people are going to stand next to you. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. And Jesus said, "Suffer not these children to come unto me." All right? That's how I feel about it. Try not to cry here. But I'm very passionate about this, and I really hope that I can help some people, and also help people make a decision. Maybe if they intended to send their children there, it's not a place you want your children. It's not. It's very evil, very, very evil. The whole dang thing. The whole dang thing. And you would not begin to believe the things I'm hearing. All right, and it's interesting because you know what, Mackinac. Oh, I feel the Holy Spirit. Mackinac Monarch 1 and 2 gave me a platform for people to trust me. You know what I mean? That they can trust me. You can trust me. You can go back and you can see. You know what I mean? Like, I'm genuine. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. And when I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, I have had so many people praying, backing me up with this thing, and you would not be. I'm gonna tell you this. I'll give you this. This thing goes all the way to the top. And if you think Interlochen is where this ends, no, no. And I'll tell you what. Just like I told you before, Gray is an expert. Okay, in MK Ultra, Project Monarch, and all this stuff that these people are doing. And again, I highly suggest people go listen to what Gray has to say. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to tell you right now. I feel like he's more of a brother to me in fighting this fight than most, popular YouTubers all of you may watch. I'm gonna be honest with you. I gotta be honest. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit here and do what everybody else does and sugarcoat things and just make it sound good just so that way you subscribe. I don't care if you subscribe. I don't care if you unsubscribe. What I have to do is what God has called me to do. And what God has called me to do is very difficult. And he gives his biggest battles to his strongest warriors, even though sometimes those strongest warriors shed tears, okay? Plain and simple. All right. These are the facts. And when I told Gray what I've discovered, he says, Josh, he says, this is really good detective work. And he says, this catches my interest. And I'll be honest with you, Gray has heard everything. This dude is so connected, it is unreal. If you knew who Gray really was, you'd be like, wow. I mean, there's not too many people in this world that their knowledge and wisdom impresses me. Gray impresses me. All right. And if one of my subscribers or moderators that's here, I don't know if you can get it's called The Gray Area. It's a YouTube channel, The Gray Area. And if you could pull up his link so people can subscribe. What he has to say is tough. If you ain't strong, there's no reason to even go over there because you're getting down to the nitty gritty, and it's rough to hear this stuff. But you want to know what? There's a group of men of God that have been called forth out of the many that have been literally put in the front lines. You got people out there that say they're the boots on the ground, and you got people that say that they're the boots in the trenches and that they're in the trenches. Like, I don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't see it. I'm sorry. You had a chance to stand with your brother and you left me hanging. You left me hanging, man. So, leave it to people who are broken and leave it to people who are like Mrs. End Times Talk to stand with me, and people who have been this before. Let the victims come forward. Let the victims speak up. Because you want to know what? This is where the rubber meets the road. All right. This is where accountability begins. And we're going to expose this thing, man. You would not begin to believe what I'm on to right now. And what I discovered last night at the Jeffrey Epstein Lodge itself is disgusting. I got all the footage. Oh, man. It's been wild. It's been a wild ride. Dude, can you imagine walking a mile in my shoes? Most people act like, I seen a comment the other day on my channel where someone was like, Josh, you're just so angry and blah, blah, blah. Man, go put on my shoes. Take those Vans high tops and put them on and walk a mile in my shoes for a moment and tell me if you can stand still. All right. Tell me if you don't get a little upset or feel a little emotional about what you got going on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do it myself. Hold on 1 second. Give me a moment. I'm going to take the link here. Hold on. Copy. Post it in here. If my moderators could keep reposting that link that I just put in the live chat, that would really mean a lot to me. And I'll show you. This guy has stood with me more than most Christians have, and his name's Gray. And man, this dude's the real deal, man. He's the real deal. And he goes through, and what he used to wear a mask because he used to have to protect his identity because he went to prison for exposing this stuff. Like they hit him. They hit him hard. And I have felt like he is more of a brother to me than most people, honestly. Like and the brothers and sisters that pray and the people who have financially backed these investigations, you get a giant pat on the back. And I'll just give you kind of a taste test of who Gray is real quick. And, I don't want to hear no, oh, I don't like that mask. Like, get over it. All right. It is what it is. All right. But I'll show you this real quick. All right. Hold on. Wait, hold on. It was muted. Sorry about that. Hold on. I'm gotta make sure this is full. All right.
Recording in progress.
I hear a lot of talk lately, and that's good. Where y'all been? Because I've been fighting against child trafficking and deeply rooted corruption for over a decade, and I pay dearly. I pray now the time is right. Because I'm here to expose all, and I will explain it all. Look, this may not be pretty, cleanly stated, presented with a bow. I might not be the most articulate or coherent, for that matter. So forgive the poor form if I have sloppy presentation. I'm a little rough around the edges. But this is the most direct information and evidence I believe the public will hear and see. So let's get to the bottom of this bullshit right now. Because we have these YouTubers, rumblers, podcasters, journalists, social media personalities, these bureaucrats, the SSCI, the AARO, these UAP hearings. Look, most of these people don't have any idea of what's really going on. And the ones that do, at least partially, they're either in the fold or not prepared to actually address it realistically. And they've accepted their limits. And I've talked to many of them, including the bureaucrats. And they're not ready to do what they have to do. They're not knocking on doors. They're definitely not knocking down doors. They're definitely not saving people. They're not protecting people. They can't provide for protection for people giving testimony, even if they don't track it. They are not taking any steps to ensure that no one else is. And they would need the protection. They have already accepted their limits, and I will expose this. They simply cannot pay the price to really play this dirty game. And anyone with family or loved ones, I wouldn't ask them to. But many of them are being used, even if they think they mean well. And many of these organizations that are soaking up public support are corrupt. And I will expose it all. This is a public service announcement. I am speaking out to set the record straight on the real reason child trafficking is so rampant, on why institutional and elite pedophilia investigations are halted and covered up, and to explain how this dirty secret ties in with everything that is wrong with the world today, from drug, weapon, and human trafficking, blackmail, extortion, contract killings, political and governmental corruption, to various conspiracies and false flag operations carried out over the years, and now the UAP debacle that is ensuing publicly. We're in the middle of a true epidemic, an all-out assault on our children. There are forces preying on our children, and not only their bodies, their minds, their heart, and their spirit. Think of the damage done in the last few generations alone at the hands of the Catholic Church, the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, so many religious institutions for so long. Schools, teachers, universities, coaches, state-sponsored child services and protective organizations, even the Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts, who are also tied in with the state. And this year, 2023, a $2.5 billion settlement for over 80,000 survivors of Boy Scout abuse, sexual abuse by Boy Scout troop leaders, or whatever the fuck they're called. 80,000. Yes, Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts are tied in with the state. Who lets this happen? Who lets Child Protective Services funnel kids to abusive homes? At what point is it just negligence? How long has this been going on? All the reports over the years to institutions and law enforcement, we're talking hundreds of thousands. Tens of thousands are cooperating, at least. With what result? Can it just be inept investigators? Is it negligence? A broken system? We need to start asking the right questions. Why can't we seem to provide necessary oversight and set reasonable protocols to ensure institutions for the children, to secure institutions for the children, to provide safe institutions for education and development of our children? Put me in charge. This is more than people being negligent. Why can't we seem to implement competent investigations and just enforcement against the predators? Negligence? Inept investigations? Listen, we all know what this is, and the answer is unfortunate. There's an intelligent design and a determined driving force behind it all, conspiring to keep the sick cycle continuing.
Segment 3 this evening is titled The Children and the CIA. We've learned a lot of unknown activities of the CIA in years past, some of them disturbing, to say the least. Tonight, we'll learn of the agency's interest in children.
I think you get a picture now who Gray is. Love this dude thoroughly through and through. I'm going to tell you right now, he has spent so much time with me on the phone, listening to what I've been investigating, and has extended help, and extended a hand out to a fellow brother in Christ, and I'm thankful to know godly men like Gray, honestly. Um, it feels good to not have to stand alone. And I'm going to tell you right now, people better unite with this or you're going to be on the wrong side of history, because we're all going to stand before God on Judgment Day. You know what I'm saying? We're all going to stand before God on Judgment Day. We're all going to stand before God at the Bema seat, even us Christians. And then the people who weren't Christian, they're going to stand before God at the great white throne judgment. And all accounts are going to be given. Did you stand up for the children? Did you stand up for the children? Did you, when you had the chance, did you stand up when it mattered? All right. Because that's what it's about right there. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you right now, dude, forces are uniting behind the scenes, dude. And I'm just saying, get on the right side of history right now, because all these pedophiles, all of you pedophiles out there hurting kids, no matter what positions of power you're in, we're coming for you. All right. You will be exposed. Your networks will be exposed. Your names will be put out there. You will become public enemy number one instead of me, people like me and people like Gray. All right. That's the reality of it. Gray has dearly paid the price for standing up for, the children. And, I'm sure, my time is coming, but I'll tell you right now, this fight, it goes to all of us. It comes to all of our doorsteps, because like even you people that are out there that are my age and in your upper 30s and stuff, you got kids and stuff. You know what I mean? You want them growing up in a world like this? Are we going to bury our heads in the sand while everybody else just walks around and acts like nothing's wrong? I can't live like that. I can't live. I can't sleep with a conscience that's seared like that. People have been given over to a reprobate mindset, man. They have. All right. They've been given over to a reprobate mindset. They don't care about the kids. They don't care about the next generations. Well, the Lord does tarry and you're in a nursing home later on, these are the kids that are going to raise you up. I'm telling you, the devil's trying to destroy a generation, man. The devil's trying to destroy a generation. He's trying to bring childhood to an end. You understand how much Satan hates your kids? Do you understand how much Satan hates you and how much you remind him of God, because we are created in his image? Each and every single one of these kids that he alters, that he messes up, that he fricks up, man. It just, dude, it bothers me, man, that people could just sit by, call themselves Christian, just idly just sit by and not do anything. All right, at least pray. At least pray. You got real dudes that are out there on the front lines, the real boots on the ground, in the real trenches. All right, not just acting and saying like they're some tough guy on YouTube. All right, I get sick of that, man. I get sick of that. I can't sleep at night. Like, dude, it's not easy doing this, but it is what it is. You know what? Jesus, should I do this? All right, we're gonna do this. All right, I'm gonna show you one more clip of the documentary that I'm working on. This is the next segment known as Triangle of Evil. This is just the beginning, man. Like, this is just understanding geography and the way that these people there's specific areas people like this set up camp, literally. Okay. There's a reason for it. And it all has to deal with ley lines and all this stuff. Like these are people that they're not just predators towards children. These people are out to destroy humanity. All right. They're eugenicists and they're transhumanists, and they're out to destroy humanity. They want to corrupt humanity from the very beginning, from the very foundations. And where do you start if you corrupt a generation? It's the children. It's the children, everybody. Welcome to this examination of a most intriguing alignment, one that lies not in ancient ruins but in the quiet townships of northern Michigan. As we delve into the coordinates of Interlochen, we uncover not mere geography but a deliberate configuration. 3 Masonic temples positioned to form a precise right-angled triangle, encircling the heart of this cultural enclave. This is no accident of placement, it is a statement, encoded in the language of geometry, a theorem that predates our classrooms and echoes the foundational myths of power. Let us first establish the facts on the ground. To the west lies the Benzie Area Lodge, situated in Honor, Michigan, its structure rooted firmly in the landscape just beyond the Platte River. Due east, across the expanse of Grand Traverse Bay, stands the East Bay Masonic Lodge in Williamsburg, Michigan, a vantage point overlooking the waters that have shaped the region for centuries. And to the south, completing the formation, is the James E. Dillon Lodge No. 466 in Mesick, anchoring the southern boundary with resolute symmetry. If you were to plot these locations on a map, Honor to Williamsburg, tracing one axis, then a perpendicular line southward to Mesick, you would reveal a right-angled triangle, its hypotenuse cutting through the terrain with mathematical exactitude. This configuration invites scrutiny. Why here? Why now? And what does it signify? The elites don't scatter their symbols like breadcrumbs. They plant them like landmines, waiting for the curious to step forward. To understand, we must turn to the principle that governs this shape, the Pythagorean theorem. In its essence, it is a fundamental relation in Euclidean geometry, stating that in a right-angled triangle, the square of the length of the hypotenuse, the side opposite the right angle, equals the sum of the squares of the lengths of the other two sides. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Discovered not by the Greek philosopher Pythagoras, as tradition credits, but documented on Babylonian clay tablets dating back some 3,700 years. This equation describes the harmony inherent in right-angled triangles, ensuring structural stability from the ancient ziggurats to modern architecture. It is a tool of precision, a proof of balance, yet beyond its practical utility lies a deeper layer, one woven into esoteric traditions where mathematics transcends measurement and becomes a conduit for symbolic intent. Because what better way to control the masses than to embed ancient sorcery in the very equations we teach our children? In occult practice, the Pythagorean theorem is more than an equation. It is a ritual archetype, a geometric emblem representing the archetypal triad that underpins many mystery traditions. Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz, the so-called first family of Babylonian lore, the shadowy architects of the one-world deception that still grips humanity today through different means. Nimrod, described in Genesis 10 as a mighty hunter and founder of kingdoms in Shinar, embodies the archetype of the rebellious king, his name in Hebrew signifying one who rebels. The original blueprint for every tyrant pulling strings from the shadows, Semiramis, his consort and legendary queen of Babylon, is portrayed in ancient texts as a deified figure, the embodiment of the divine feminine, who mythologized Nimrod's death and apotheosis as the sun god Baal, weaving narratives of virgin births and fertility cycles that mock the divine plan and seduce the unwary. Tammuz, their purported son, revered as a dying and rising god of vegetation and shepherded flocks, completes the Trinity. A figure mourned in Ezekiel 8:14, where women weep at the temple gates for his seasonal descent and return. A false resurrection rite that's been recycled through every pagan pantheon to this day. This triad, Father as solar authority, Mother as lunar mystery, Son as sacrificial renewal, forms a counterfeit cosmology, inverting sacred motifs into a framework for control, the ultimate gaslight against creation itself. The right-angle triangle encodes this dynamic with stark clarity. The two legs represent Semiramis and Tammuz, the dual forces of receptive mystery and generative sacrifice, their squares symbolizing the foundational tensions of creation and loss. These resolve into hypotenuse, Nimrod's ascendant line, the phallic axis of dominion that completes the form, asserting vertical conquest over horizontal duality. A geometric middle finger to the heavens, if you will, in ritual context as preserved in Pythagorean and later Masonic traditions. This geometry serves as a sacred diagram. Practitioners, initiates in lodges or mystery schools employ it to align terrestrial and celestial energies, tracing the triangle on consecrated floors or altars to invoke equilibrium. The right angle becomes the point of initiation, where opposites are squared and harmonized. Much of the theorem demonstrates irrefutable balance. Oaths are sworn within its bounds, symbols drawn to channel virtue from the earth, transforming the abstract proof into a tangible engine of manifestation, binding intentions, summoning influences, or sealing hierarchies in a web of symbolic resonance, all while the uninitiated chalk it up to fraternal charity. Here, in the deliberate placement of these three temples around Interlochen, we witness the theorem manifest in the modern world. A triangulated enclosure, its vertices lodges of fraternal order, pulsing with the theorem's latent power. It is a quiet testament to enduring tradition where architecture whispers what history dares not shout. Because the real power plays don't announce themselves with fanfare. They embed themselves in the mundane, turning your local map into a manifesto of manipulation. As documentarians of the unseen, our task is clear: to map these patterns, to question their purpose, and to illuminate the lines that connect past to present. The triangle endures not as myth, but as measure, a silent sentinel reminding us that the game is rigged from the ground up. Wake up, connect the dots, and refuse to be just another point on their plot. That's all I'm giving you guys. Absolutely all I'm giving you guys. There's a lot of work to be done. A lot of work to be done. I'll be honest with you. I'm looking for a possible release in like January. It's that complicated. This is very involved stuff. What you've seen is I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how this is just scratching the surface. Okay? Like this is really beginner stuff what I'm putting out there today. All right? Like what I have already is just it's going to blow people's minds. All right? I don't know if there's a documentary that's been made like it, to be honest with you. All right? God's really helping me to understand some things. And like I said, I have actually exposed I'm gonna put this out there. I've exposed a new child sex trafficking ring, I believe. A new ring of pedophiles that everybody missed. It was always there to begin with, completely in the dark, went unnoticed. And, you know, this is what I was talking to Gray about. And he's like, Josh, this is really good detective work, man. And I tell you what, man, if I had a hat, you know what? We'll do this. I'm going to give this hats off to Gray, man. Hats off to Gray, bro. You know, because he's encouraged me, man, a lot, you know, and he's been there on the phone with me for hours, you know, helping me and encouraging me. And I'll tell you, you know, it really would mean a lot to me. And I'm putting it in the comment section here that people just go subscribe to Gray just because he stands with your brother in Christ. you know, and Gray is a brother in Christ as well, man. I love this dude. You know, we're rough around the edges, dude. Like people like me, you know, I'm not perfect, man. I cuss and things like that. You know, I've even said a couple of cuss words during my lives and stuff. But you want to know what? I love Jesus more than anything. And again, Jesus said, "Suffer not the children to come unto me." And if the devil's going to try to destroy the children, and believe it or not, in the Illuminati's own protocols, it talks about the destruction of the Christian youth, and this is how they're going to do it. You're finally beginning to understand the cycle of why they abuse children. There is a religious system behind it, and it has to be exposed from its very core. All right, these people are nasty, they're disgusting, and we have to stand behind. We have to stand behind people who will go out there and get this job done. People like me, people like Gray, and hold on one second. Then people get mad at me. I don't care. I really don't care. Give me a moment here. I got to do something. Give me a moment. Putting this out there. All right. So, and like I said, people get mad at me. I don't care. None of this goes into my pocket. Everything that's been given, all right, to make this documentary happen is it's in the wind now. It's gone. You know what I mean? And it takes gas, to be able to go investigate things overnight when I do need to be somewhere further away from where I live. It takes money to stay somewhere. If you can't stand up for yourself and you feel like you want to have a voice and this is a way you can do it, please consider supporting End Times Talk and our ventures in exposing these networks financially. But more than anything, it's super important that people pray. Like my life is on the line. All right. Anything can happen. All right. Again, though, to my enemies, I do have a dead man switch in place. I do have a list of names that are absolutely known pedophiles. All right. You do not want this getting out to the public. All right. So don't be careful, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to expose the networks rather than go for specific people. The networks, the system, the religious system behind this stuff, it all needs to be brought down. And then in the meanwhile, there's going to be specific people that are going to fall. And I'm, to be honest with you, you don't scare me one dang bit. You don't shiver my timbers. You know what I mean? So I'm putting it out there. Again, if you can't speak up, if you've been abused and you don't feel like you have the strength to tell your story, that's okay. Consider supporting it financially, or consider supporting us through prayer. Now, I do want to let everybody know, okay, that I am going to make sure that victims who want to be nameless, who want to be blurred out, who want to be disguised, that your identity will not fall into the wrong hands. I will have your back and protect you. You don't have to worry about nothing if you want to come forward and speak on these things. But, all right, if you are a person that has been abused in general, just through occult practice, come forward. Come with receipts, though, because I'm not stupid. There are people who have lied to me and said that they had been abused. They hadn't, and they were looking for attention. There are some sick people out there, honestly. But I want to give people that have been abused through occult practice, a platform to speak. People who have been abused at Interlochen, a platform to speak and to be in this documentary, to stand up and have your voices heard. Because if we don't stand united in these last days, we're going to fall divided. And I truly believe that the child sex trafficking and the child abuse is the front lines. The reason being is because Satan is trying to corrupt the next generation. And not only that, but this is the core of Satanism. All right. The core of Satanism is this stuff. Okay. And there's a reason why these people are involved in it. There's a reason it's spreading. There's a reason that America is the #1 user and producer of child exploitive material. It needs to come out into the open. All right. There's people that are ex-law enforcement that I talk to. There are people that are still in law enforcement that I talk to. So I'm telling you right now, folks, we're in this for the long haul. And you think that Interlochen is going to be the last documentary? I already got 12 more lined up. All right. I am dead serious about doing this, man. I'm going to fight this fight while I have my last breath, man. Doesn't matter, man. I'm going to keep going and keep going, like I said, until my last breath. So, again, I appreciate you guys for sticking with me through this live. The next live that we do will be more about, the things that are going on in the world, and we'll kind of get back to some normal stuff. But I wanted to give everybody alive to update you as to what I'm investigating, which is the Interlochen School of Arts and the occult intentions behind the rings that are happening here in northern Michigan, and how this ties even all the way to the Supreme Court. All right, I'm going to expose it, and I don't care if it even means my life, but I'm telling everybody right now, I am not suicidal. All right, I wouldn't hurt a fly. All right, I love people. I care about people. All right, I just don't put up with any guff. You know what I mean? That's one thing I don't put up with, is a bunch of mumbo jumbo. So, all right, I appreciate all of you that are standing behind me in this venture and what End Times Talk is about to do. And I'm telling you, I think this next documentary, if it gets the views that it needs to get, it's going to break the mold of some stuff. It really is. Because I'm telling you, we're hitting the nail on the head with some stuff. And I just wish I could tell you more. I wish I could show you more. I wish I could show you the rest of the documentary that I have edited and made. And but I will tell you this, though. The next segment is called Antenna of Doom. And there's a reason for that. All right. There's a reason for that. But thank you all for coming to this live, for listening to this update, and listening to what we have coming and what we're doing. As this is a massive project, it takes a lot. It takes a lot, and I'm sure that we're not. This isn't going to be where it ends. Interlochen isn't where it ends. It's only where it begins. All right. This is a labyrinth of evil that has to be exposed from the ground up. I appreciate all of you. May God bless every single one of you. May he keep you in these last days. And please don't forget to go out there and make an impact in this world and change it in which you live. Because I'm telling you right now, now is the time. Now is the moment. Now is the time to stand up and stand united. God bless.